Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the first-time homeownership workshop this afternoon. My name is Dana Lewis, and I am the Deputy Human Services Director for the City of Falls Church, and I'm welcoming you all today. We have a great group of presenters this afternoon, and so I think you will enjoy what they have to say. I'll be monitoring the workshop today and assisting the speaker and answering your questions. Speaking of questions, if you have any along the way, if you look on your screen, there's a little icon for you to ask a question. If you look, it's either on your left or right side of your screen, and it says questions. It's under poll, and you can ask questions that way. And you can, it's actually a question mark and a circle on the right side of your screen, and you can type in the questions. So after the presentation, which will be 45 minutes, then we'll answer your questions. We'll have 15 minutes for questions. So today's first speaker that we have is Belinda Falimola, and she's the Education and Outreach Specialist for HUD. And so we'd like to welcome her today, and Belinda, we'll pass it off to you.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Aren't we excited? This is the first virtual housing expo for the Northern Virginia area. So I'm very pleased that I've been honored to be part of this opportunity. And so to get started, so we just want to make sure that you guys get all the information that you need. And so I am very pleased to be the first one to pop this right off, okay? I'll just hit click. Okay, show my screen. Anybody see my screen yet?
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about FHA. So FHA is not a loan program. We actually insure loans. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody understood that, because during this period of time, we just want to make sure everybody gets as much information and accurate information. So FHA, first time home buying. And I want to make sure this next slide, everybody see the next slide?
Yes, we do. Yep.
Okay, great. I had technical difficulties last time, so I want to make sure everything's going well this time. So the core of my presentation is this statement. Is this a good time to purchase a home? This may be many people's question, and the response is make strong, well-informed choices and execute them. So this is important because many people out there today have various lifestyles and situations, particularly during this very special time in our lives. So they may have various questions like, do I really need 20% down payment? You know, I'm already renting. Is it cheaper for me to rent than to purchase a home? I have a lot of student loan debt. You know, is it even really possible for me to even consider purchasing a home if I have student loan debt? I'm not even sure what my credit score is, but if, you know, do I need a high credit score? Do I need at least 700 before I can even purchase a home? And are all lenders the same? You're going to find out through this entire month of June that the Housing Expo is going to answer these questions and more. And you're going to find out that lenders are really interested in helping first-time home buyers. They're going to have special programs for you. And there are other opportunities out there. And HUD, FHA, has its own special, what I call secret weapon out there to help you through this process of becoming a first-time home buyer. What steps should I take? Now, you see all these boxes here, and I dare not go through all of this because we have experts out there that will take you through this process of purchasing your home. But what I'm going to talk about is know your rights and finding a loan, okay? So the first one is know your rights. Now, you know, if you're a first-time home buyer, that may be very odd and strange. Like, what are my rights? And so again, there are various ways that you can obtain that information. One, of course, is from HUD. We have what you call Fair Housing Equal Opportunity. You can go to what we call Fair House FHEO. And when you visit my exhibit hall, you're going to see where there's information about your rights. And so you're not discriminated against when you're going out there and looking for your first home. But also the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau also provides information. You know, one of the most anxieties about buying your first home is not only coming up with the money, do you know your credit score and all those good things that go into the process of getting to your first home, but it's the settlement. When you finally get to that day, everything has turned out right, and now you're at settlement and you got to sign all this paperwork. Well, probably using COVID, you don't have to go in there. They're doing it electronically now, but the bottom line is you still got a lot of paperwork that you need to read through and get through and understand what you're signing. Under the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, there is a new law where you have 3 days before closing. It's called the closing disclosure, that you have at least 3 business days prior to your closing, that you have an opportunity to review all of that paperwork that you will be required to sign on your settlement day. And that closing disclosure, it outlines what the actual terms and conditions are of your mortgage. It would include your interest rate. It includes the actual closing costs that you're going to be required to pay on that day, what your monthly payment is going to be, or your loan features. So this is a great opportunity that when you get that information, you can sit down with your person, your financial person, or somebody who's working with you to go over this closure, closing disclosure. And if you have any questions, you have an opportunity to have those questions answered prior to going to the settlement table. So shop for a loan, FHA. There's many types of loans out there. You will hear it from my colleagues today when you go through the exhibition hall, when you go through a workshop today, or through the month of June. There are different types of loans out there. You're going to hear about conventional loans. You're going to hear about veterans loan. I'm here to talk about FHA. Again, FHA is not a loan. We insure loans. Why do we do that? Because of the opportunity to provide for certain geographic people who may have lower credit scores in the 500s to 600s. We want to give them a boost, give them a help to lenders, telling lenders that, you know, if they meet all your other requirements, we will insure their loans. So if they should default, we will make sure that the lender is made whole. So it helps the lender to be more willing to help people who have a lower credit score, and because FHA will insure that loan. FHA will give you help you with down payment assistance. It helps you with lower closing costs. On the low down payment assistance, to go back, there's a time when people say, oh, well, you know, you have to have 20% down payment. With FHA, it's only 3.5% in most cases. So that's a big difference from 20% to 3.5. And closing costs, easy credit qualifying is just as I said earlier. In many instances, there was a time that you had to have at least a 700 FHA. Excuse me. But FHA, the requirement is only 580. Now, of course, there's a caveat that lenders can also have their own overlays, but that can be discussed with you. But just to qualify for FHA, you only have to have a 580 credit score. Now, this is a program that that has really been helpful, uh, that many people are very excited about under FHA. It's called the Good Neighbor Next Door program. And it's for law enforcement officer, kindergarten teachers, firefighters, and emergency medical technicians. It gives them an opportunity to live in their neighborhood. It gives them an opportunity because of the work that they do. If you understand what a HUD home is, HUD homes are previous foreclosed homes that we have insured, as I mentioned earlier. Unfortunately, for some FHA homeowners, they defaulted on their loans for various reasons. And unfortunately, the home was foreclosed on. And we, FHA, made a claim to the lender, and we took the property back and we put it in our portfolio called real estate owned, called it REO. So once we take it back into our portfolio, we resell them and we put it under our HUD Home Store.com. And when you go to that website, you will see where there is a icon called the Good Neighbor Next Door. And in doing so, the process is the same. So if you are a law enforcement officer or kindergarten or through 12th grade teacher, firefighter, or a medical technician, emergency medical technician, you see a house that you're very interested in. So you see a house in your locality, whether you're in Virginia or Maryland or DC, in a revitalization area, and you see it is the house is at a market rate of 300,000. And so you're very interested in it. So you decided that you go to your real estate agent and you said, I want to put a bid in for that house of 300,000. So you put it in, and lo and behold, you win the bid. Okay. So you get all your financing in order. And so at the time that you go to settlement and everything else is in order, your $300,000 home is now discounted at 50%, and now you get it at $150,000. So that's one of those very special programs that FHA is very proud of. You have to look around, you have to stay, if you're very interested in those, you have to look around, stay involved in looking at the HUD Home Store, and hopefully you can find something if you meet the requirement of being a good neighbor next door, to stay in the neighborhood that you would like to live in, and hopefully find a house, bid on it, and win and get it discount. But you must remain in it for 36 months because it must be your primary residence. So when I reached out to the Northern Virginia Housing Expo, I really wanted to talk about what I call HUD FHA's best kept secret. You will hear others talk about HUD approved housing counseling agencies, but I've been working with them for over 15 years. And what I find out is that most people don't know about HUD approved housing counseling agencies unless, one, they are first time home buyers and they find out that they have to take a first time home buyer class and receive a certificate. They don't reach out to a HUD approved housing counseling agency not knowing that they can help them with their credit, or they don't even know, they haven't even looked at a credit report in years. This is maybe be the first time they even check on their credit report. HUD approved housing counseling agencies are essential in the first time home buyer program. They are a requirement because it's a federal requirement that if you take advantage of a local jurisdiction or state first time home buying program, you have to take a housing counseling class. And this is where most people get introduced to HUD approved housing counseling agencies. But they do so much more than that. Yes, they help you with first time home buying programs, but they also help you with your budget needs. Obviously, they help you with your credit needs if you have any credit issues. They help you with a full service housing needs, whether it's positive or negative. They help you with pre-approvals and getting you ready to purchase, but they're also there for you after you purchase. It's important that you continue a relationship with a housing counseling agency because you're going to need them, believe it or not. It can help you with your family. It'll help you with your kids that are getting ready to go to college, help them knowing how to do the budget. It is there for an entire family because you never know when life gives you a certain situation, such as we're living in now. And counseling agencies can really be there for you to help you weather the storm, get you prepared, and help you if you should hit one of life's little curves. So I'm just hopefully have given you a brief overview of FHA. Again, it insures loans. It helps you qualify with a lower credit score. It'll help you with getting there what you need. HUD is there for you through its HUD approved housing counseling agencies. Here's my contact information. Clearly through COVID-19, our office is closed, but I'm truly available 5 days a week. You can email me. You can reach me by my cell at 240-460-5312. And text me if you have a question. I'm dealing with all housing issues, not only first-time home buying, but you have any other housing issues that you would like to relay to me, please feel free to do so. And I wish everybody well and safe during this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Belinda. If anyone has any questions, you can just put the questions, you can type the questions in. Right now, I don't see any questions, but there are you can go to the website to look at facts for HUD and Belinda's presentation if you need them. You can also type them in and I can bring them up at the end of all of the presentations. So our next presenter is going to be Regina Pinkney, and she is from the Virginia Housing Development Authority. They've changed their name to Virginia Housing. And she is the Regional Business Development Officer there. So let's all welcome Regina, and here she is.
Good afternoon, everyone. Before I start, I would like to know if you can see the first slide of my presentation.
Yes, we can.
Beautiful, thank you. I am excited to be at yet another Northern Virginia Housing Expo, and so glad that you all have taken the time to join us. I'm going to share with you what VHDA, now to be known as Virginia Housing, we just started making that transition in our name yesterday, late afternoon. So let's go. So VHDA is the housing finance agency for the Commonwealth of Virginia. We were created by the Virginia General Assembly, and our mission is simple and beautiful: to help Virginians attain quality, affordable housing. We are what's called a quasi-state agency, and that status gives us lots of flexibility and support from our local government, but also lets us operate as a business and to advance our mission. We administer housing choice vouchers and housing credit programs. We are set up so that we are self-sustaining. We buy loans from approved lenders and sell them on the capital markets, and that's how we get our funding. And then that funding, 60% of it, is contributed to our Reach Virginia grant program. Reach Virginia is a multifaceted funding pool that supports vital housing initiatives throughout the state. We have, it provides low interest rate mortgages for first-time home buyers, below market financing for developers who focus on affordable multifamily development, and then also it provides funding for our community revitalization efforts. So why would Virginia Housing focus on homeownership? Homeownership is vital to our economy in the state of Virginia. Homeownership is how individuals and families build wealth over time through equity. And of course, that wealth then helps stabilize neighborhoods, support schools and parks and other local amenities. Housing is the 6th largest industry in the state of Virginia. And so that makes it important to focus on that alone, not to mention everything else. And we are so excited that 70% of all of the housing units in Virginia are owner occupied. So how do we advance our mission? Through our home buyer program. The first of which is our home buyer education. It is a very good and thorough class covering from your first thoughts of, hey, can I even afford to buy a home, with a lovely spending plan for you to kind of chart out yourself, your expenses and your income to see what kind of housing payment would be comfortable for you. And that class goes all the way through to writing the contract, to closing, to after closing. What do I do if I lose my job? And that's where you would reach out to perhaps your lender and a HUD-approved housing counselor. So the class covers it all from A to Z. The class is offered, when allowed, in person, in English and Spanish, but also online, self-paced in both languages. The class is completely free. You have your certificate that you receive at the end of the class, and that certificate is good for 2 years. So now I want you to think of VHDA as an umbrella. And under that umbrella, the normal, regular loan programs that you've heard of, mentioned all of your lives, FHA, VA, rural housing, also known as USDA, are under, and conventional, are all under that umbrella. But when you pull those loan programs under the VHDA umbrella, we add a little something to it to make those programs more powerful, to increase your buying power. So under our umbrella, we have the FHA, the VA for veterans, rural housing, also known as USDA, and then we also have our own private mortgage product called a plus second mortgage. And that's helpful for folks who may make too much money to qualify for our grant, but still would like to get help with their down payment. And then we have 2 conventional loan products. One's called the Fannie Mae reduced mortgage insurance product, and then we have a Fannie Mae no mortgage insurance product. But let's talk about our government insured program. We follow the agency guidelines for the most part, but then as Belinda mentioned, we do have an overlay. Our minimum credit score for an FHA loan is 620. Your loan to value, or the amount of money you're going to borrow on your house, is 96.5%. On VA loans or veteran loans, the loan to value, or the amount you can borrow towards the home, is 100%. And the same for rural housing, also known as USDA loans. Now, for our conventional loan programs or Fannie Mae loan programs, you can be a first-time home buyer, but you can also be a repeat buyer. All of our loans are 30 years fixed, and they allow you to have flexible down payment sources, gifts, our grant, our second trust, or other community seconds, which you'll hear about perhaps later in the session. Our Fannie Mae reduced mortgage insurance requires only 3% down. It requires a minimum credit score of 640. The same debt-to-income ratio applies to all of our loans, 45%. And a debt-to-income ratio is 45% of your total income for 1 month. The maximum loan to value, or the maximum amount you can borrow for this loan, is 97% of the sales price of the home. To find out more about our income limits and sales price limits, you can go to bhda.com/loan limit. Now, this is one of my favorite products, our down payment assistance. This is a grant, a true gift, forgiven at closing. When you get the keys to your house, we forget about it. It's not recorded anywhere. The maximum grant is 2.5% of the sales price. And you can combine our grant with other down payment assistance programs if you need that help. In addition, we want folks to take advantage of our mortgage credit certificates along with our grant. Our mortgage credit certificate is a thing of beauty. It is actually IRS code that gives the holder of the certificate the opportunity to convert 10% of the interest that they pay on their mortgage every single year they live in the home to a dollar-for-dollar federal income tax credit. So if you pay $10,000 in interest on your mortgage, you get 10% or a $1,000 tax credit. So if Uncle Sam says you owe $14,000 in taxes, you can take that $1,000 right off, and now you only owe $13,000 in federal income taxes. And you can use this every single year you live in the home, and we give it to VHDA borrowers for free. Now, there are some requirements. You have to be a first-time home buyer, and the definition of a first-time home buyer varies a little bit. But for VHDA, and it is different from other programs, our definition of a first-time home buyer is someone who's not lived in the home they've owned in the last 3 years. The new home must be your primary residence, and you must be within the income and sales price limits that you can find on vhda.com/loan limit. Our plus second mortgage. This program is great for people who maybe make too much money to get our grant, but could still use a little help with the down payment or prefer to keep their money in the bank rather than putting it in the house. The plus second mortgage combined with the first mortgage from VHDA allows you to have anywhere from 100 to 101.5% financing. That extra 1.5% will allow you to help cover some closing costs. In addition, this program can also be used with other community down payment assistance programs. For the borrowers who use our veterans loan, our VA loan, or our USDA loan, rural housing, those two programs are 100% financing already, so we have a closing cost assistance grant for those folks. It is called our CCA, and it is a flat 2% of the sales price of the home to help you cover your closing costs. Another wonderful program is our sponsoring partnership, revitalizing communities, also known as SPARK. SPARK is a product that comes out of our REACH fund that I mentioned earlier, and it subsidizes or reduces your interest rate by 1% for free. So this is not a true rate today, but let's say today's rate was 3.75. If you're eligible for SPARK, your 30-year fixed interest rate would be 2.75. It would cost you no extra money, and nor would it cost your lender any money to help you with SPARK. And SPARK is available through local governments, nonprofits, and housing industry partners. And of course, you can pair SPARK with our first trust mortgage, our second trust mortgage, our grant, and our MCC. Which brings me to our masterpiece, the loan combo. That's when you take all of the benefits we have, the affordable first trust mortgage, the down payment assistance for the second trust, the mortgage credit certificate, our free homebuyer education, and SPARK, add them all together and provide yourself with a mortgage that not only makes the home more affordable to you, but helps keep your mortgage more sustainable for you. So now that I've told you all the good things you can get through VHDA, how do you do it? How do you get to it? Through a VHDA approved lender. Not all lenders can do VHDA loans. We have 86 throughout the Commonwealth, and they are working banks, mortgage lenders' offices, and credit unions. To find an approved lender, you can visit vhda.com/homebuyers/find a lender. And how do you apply? Once you've found a lender that you wish to work with, you complete all of the applications and requests for the grant, the MCC, and SPARK through that one lender. So you have one-stop shopping for all of your benefits. And then they guide you through the process of interest rates and estimates and pre-qualifying and actually completing your application. Thank you all for this time, and please don't forget to visit our booth in the exhibit hall. Thank you.
Thank you, Regina. Thank you for your great presentation. So our next, first of all, if you have any questions, like I said, type them with the circle with the question mark, and we will answer those questions at the end. I don't see any right now. So we'll move on to our next presenter, who is Akiria Brown, and she is the Housing Program Manager from the Arlington, Virginia Department of Housing. Akiria, you're next. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Dana. Can everyone see my screen at this point?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Okay. My name is Akiria Brown, and I am the homeownership administrator here in Arlington County. And I am so excited to be here today for the first NOVA virtual housing expo. It's really exciting that you've joined us on this beautiful Saturday. But I wanted to just go ahead and jump right in and give you some indication of what programs we have in Arlington County, and I will be happy to answer any questions that you might have along the way. So Arlington County has an affordable housing master plan where we essentially have put in writing that we want to ensure that families that are of moderate income will be able to access moderate income home buying opportunities. So it's really, really important to us. This comprehensive plan was adopted by our county board in 2015, and we've been fervently working toward the goals in this affordable housing master plan to increase housing opportunities for moderate income households that want to purchase in Arlington County. So what I'm going to talk about today are our moderate income purchase assistance program, our affordable dwelling units, as well as the community homeownership revitalization program, which is actually a program that Regina from VHDA just gave you guys a synopsis of. And then our Live Where You Work program that is afforded to Arlington County employees. So first of all, our Moderate Income Purchase Assistance Program, or MyPAP. This program is a program that provides down payment assistance to eligible homeowners that would provide you up to 25% of the purchase price toward purchasing a home in Arlington County. This program is a loan, but the loan is deferred. That means that there are no monthly payments associated with this loan, and there is no interest associated with this loan. So it's a really, really great opportunity for households that are unable to come up with a down payment on their own to be able to access the MyPAP program in addition to whatever else they were afforded or whatever amount they were eligible for through their first trust lender. So this acts as a second trust or a second loan. So MyPAP can be used for interest rate if you wanted to reduce your interest rate. It can also just be used as other down payment assistance and closing costs assistance. So it would really just kind of depend on the household based on their discussion with their lender, how to best.
All right, Akiria,
Yes.
I just got a note, and it appears that it's frozen on the first slide. Have you?
Oh my goodness. Okay. Where now, is this still the first slide that it's
So now we're on MyPAP, so it looks like we're on track now.
okay. Did
Yep.
a second bullet for MyPAP just come up?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Thank you so much for whomever pointed that out. And I'd be happy for anyone that missed that information to go back and provide that information to you. So as I was saying, MyPAP can be used for an interest rate buy down, as well as closing costs and any other costs associated with purchasing a property in Arlington. Under the MyPAP loan structure, whenever that homeowner chooses to sell that property or refinance that property, that homeowner must then repay the principal or repay the loan that they obtained from the county, plus 25% of the property equity. And the reason why this is really important that people understand is that these funds go to assist a number of moderate income households. And so in order for us to continue to assist a number of moderate income households, we require this 25% equity stake in the property, as well as our MyPAP loan to be repaid. And so this is basically what that means, that 25%, it basically is a shared equity model. So the county is sharing in the equity that you incur while you are in the home. And then that allows us to contribute greater to other households, as I pre-stated, for down payment assistance in the long term, other households that would be interested in purchasing in Arlington County. In terms of eligibility for MyPAP, you must be a first-time home buyer. And this is a home buyer that would have had no interest in a real estate in the prior 3 years. And the household income may not exceed 80% of the area median income. And what we have here is just a chart of what it would look like in terms of income limits for each household. So household size merely means every single person in the household. So it doesn't matter if one person is 2 months old and the other person is 40 years old, that would be a household size of 2. So the maximum income for that household would be $80,640. Okay, the other eligibility criteria, the property must be located in Arlington County. The maximum purchase price is $500,000, and the maximum loan amount that you can receive from the county would be $112,250,000. 112,250, yeah, that's what I said, yeah. There is a minimum down payment amount that you would have to bring to the table. So as an applicant, you would need to have at least 1% of the purchase price, as well as a minimum credit score of 660, and your debt to income ratio may not exceed 45%. Debt to income ratio, what in the world is that? Well, your debt to income ratio is essentially your debts and what you have coming in on a monthly basis. So we would look at all of your debts. And so in this case, the car note, the credit card, student loan, if they have a furniture payment, whatever that is. So in this scenario, the total debt amount is $2,176. And then we would divide that by the monthly income for that particular household. So let's just say their annual income is $62,000 a year gross. Then that monthly income would be the $5,167, and that represents a 42%, which would be reflective of the amount of their debt that goes to the amount of their income that goes to their debt on a monthly basis. So that household would be eligible because that debt to income ratio does not exceed 45%, as I stated. It's also very important. I want to also note that revolving debt, these are payments that are required on a monthly basis, because we tend to get a lot of questions about what is included in debt. Yes, child support is included in debt. Credit card payments are included in debt. If you have a loan, that's included in debt. But we are not looking at your monthly utility payments. We're not looking at your cell phone bill. That's not included in debt. All right. Further to the MyPAP eligibility criteria, we want all of our household members to complete the VHDA first-time homebuyer course. This course is not in person right now. It's a virtual course, and we allow that virtual course for the eligibility for MyPAP. There is a certificate of completion that each participant receives upon completing that course, and that is required with regard to the documents associated with MyPAP. And then they also must receive a good faith estimate for a first trust mortgage. So I also wanted to mention that as of today, our MyPAP program funds have been completely expended for this year. But this is really, really good information for you to have when our program reopens. You can check our website for updates on when that program reopens. We anticipate a new allocation within the next few months, but of course, a lot of that has a lot to do with our budgetary restraints. But we will update our website as soon as we have an additional allocation for this program. So the next item that I want to highlight is our affordable dwelling unit program. An affordable dwelling unit is a property that we negotiate with developers that allow us to basically sell newly built units, and they are subject to restrictive covenants that require them to be affordable essentially forever. We negotiate these units through special exemptions and neighborhood form-based codes with, like I said, with the developers that are developing new units in the county. So it's really important to understand the difference between an ADU or affordable dwelling unit structure from a market rate unit. So a market rate unit, you buy the unit and whatever equity you get is really based on the market, right? It's based on, of course, a number of the repairs that you make, renovations that you make on the unit. It's based on the prices of the other units in that neighborhood, and as well as the town specifically. And there are a number of factors that are included in that scenario. However, in ADU, those property values are connected directly with the HUD area median income assessments. So the area median income, which is on a regular basis, we normally see the area median income increase about 3.5% annually. That would mean that those units would increase in value at 3.5% on an annual basis. They would not increase in value in the same way that a market rate unit would. So for example, if you purchase a home in this year for $214,000, and then we had these AMI increases of 2% and 3%, then in 2020, your property would be worth that amount of $225,564. And that essentially is because the area median income that is distributed by HUD on an annual basis has gone up within that period of time by whatever percentage it has gone up. And so it's really important to understand that, because these ADUs have to remain affordable for the next household. So whenever someone purchases it, when they resell that unit, we want it to be affordable to the next household. And the best way to do that is to connect those values to the area median income, which is basically conveying what are people making in in this, the Northern Virginia area at one particular time. So this is just an example of one of the recent ADU projects. Key and Nash, we had 4 2-bedroom units that sold to eligible purchasers that were that had income below 80% of the area median income. And the purchase price was $214,700. In 2017, we had 6 3-bedroom units that sold to households that were actually 60% of the area median income. And the purchase price in 2017 was $282,000. So upcoming, we have a few ADUs that are on our in our queue for availability. 2,000 Clarendon units. Those units will become available in July of 2020. And in the 2,000 Clarendon development, we have 2 1-bedroom units and 2 2-bedroom units. And those prices are noted there on the right at $308 for the 1-bedroom unit and $369 for the 2-bedroom unit. Those units, again, are restricted as it relates to property equity in the future, but they are very new. They are new units, swanky units, as I like to say. There is a pool, community areas. There are a lot of amenities that are associated with this unit. And then we have the Axomite Village units, which are slated to be completed in September of 2020. There are, in that development, 4 2-bedroom units, and they are priced at $369,000. So our ADU program has a random selection drawing, which is essentially a lottery. So participants would need to contact our office to provide us with documentation of how much money they have been approved for by a lender, because they would have to be approved for the amounts that are here or more. So if they were looking at a 1-bedroom unit, they would need to show that they have been approved for 308 or more. And for a 2-bedroom unit, they would have to show that they have been approved for 369 or more. We do have a preference policy where individuals that already live or work in Arlington do receive preference. So this essentially means that they will receive an additional they will receive an additional input into the random selection drawing. So their name would go into our pool of applicants twice, essentially. And then financing, it's really not consequential at this point. I don't want people to get nervous about that, but we have a limited number of financing institutions that finance these units, but we do have their information, and we can provide you with their information. These units have a control period in perpetuity, which means that they have to remain affordable in perpetuity. The property values, again, align with the HUD area median income restrictions. There is a primary resident restriction on the unit, which means that you cannot decide to move to Kalamazoo and rent your unit out, but you would have to live in that unit. So one of the other program that I wanted to point out is our Community Homeownership Revitalization Program, which has been named CHIRP or SPARK. And essentially, this program it's a VHDA program, and it allows for a 1% interest rate reduction on units that are purchased in Arlington. The purchase price may not exceed $525,000, and those funds are available until they are used on an annual basis, and it's just important for you to connect with your lender to see if that's a good option for you, and your lender can always contact us to try to determine whether or not that is a good option. And this is the income limits for that CHIRP program. So a household of 2 or fewer people, the income limit would be $138,200. A household of 3 or more people, the income limit would be $161,300. Our Live Where You Work program is a forgivable loan for Arlington County employees. They can receive a maximum loan amount of $6,600 currently, and that loan becomes a grant after 3 years of employment. So it's just an incentive for Arlington County employees. If we happen to have any Arlington County employees on the call right now, so it would really be important for you to contact your HR liaison to determine the availability of those funds as well as your eligibility. Again, my name is Akiria Brown, and I am the Homeownership Program Administrator. My colleague, Odalis Barrios, our housing specialist, contact information is listed below as well, and I am happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Akiria, we actually have one question, and it's, do you have to request a home based on the amount of people in the house? For example, can one person get a 2-bedroom?
That's a very good question, and the answer is no. Our goal is to ensure that we infuse these resources in a way that impacts the most people as possible. So a household of 1 would not be able to purchase a 2-bedroom ADU, but households of 2 or more would be able to purchase a 2-bedroom ADU.
Okay, and just one other quick question. Let's see, do you have to live and or work in Arlington County to apply for an ADU?
You do not. Individuals that live or work in Arlington receive a preference point, so they get an additional point added to their lottery entry. So essentially, if there's 10 people in the lottery, the people that live or work in Arlington, their name would be in the pot twice, and the others that neither live nor work in Arlington would be in the lottery once, but it's still a random selection drawing.
Okay, thank you, Akiria.
Thank you.
We will move on to our next and final presenter, and that is Brandy Collins, and she is the Housing Program Manager for the Alexandria Department of Housing. Brandy is got a lot of experience, and she will go ahead and start the presentation. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Dana, for that wonderful introduction. As Dana shared, I am a housing program manager with the Alexandria Office of Housing. I have been with the office for 12 years, and the annual Housing Expo is one of my favorite events. It's a time for our partner jurisdictions to get together and share the resources and programs that we have to support affordable housing in Northern Virginia. And it's my pleasure to join you all today to talk about Alexandria's first-time homebuyer program and how we help people move from rental to homeownership in Alexandria. So one of the first things we provide for our program is down payment assistance. We provide a 0% interest, 99-year deferred equity share loan for first-time home buyers. This is a second trust mortgage. The home buyer has to be able to qualify for a primary mortgage from one of our participating lenders in the program, and this loan is repaid at the time that the house is resold, or in some cases during refinance. There are income limits for borrowing this money, depending on the program and the unit that's purchased. It ranges from 80% to, in some cases, up to 120% of area median income. Most of the units are required for households earning up to 100% of area median income in Alexandria. Assistance may only be used to buy properties that we advertise for sale. And those properties include our affordable set-aside units. These are properties that are provided from developers. These are brand new homeownership units. And as is the case in Arlington, these units are provided via a lottery because the interest is so high, and the interest is really, really high for people who want to buy these brand new units. Another pool of units that we provide assistance for purchase are our resale restricted homeownership units. These are units that are currently owned by first-time home buyers and are being resold. Every property that is purchased using our down payment and closing cost assistance is required to stay affordable. And when it's time for that homeowner to sell that property, we assist them in selling that to another first-time home buyer who meets those income restrictions. Our third pool of units that we provide assistance for is the Alexandria Neighborhood Stabilization Program. And this is a partnership that we have with the organization called Rebuilding Together Alexandria. This is a local nonprofit that purchases foreclosed units or units at the threat of foreclosure. We provide them with the money to purchase the unit. We provide them with the unit to rehab the unit, and then we assist them in finding a purchaser for that unit. Again, when that property is resold, it has to be resold to another first-time home buyer that can qualify for our program. The affordable set-aside unit program, those are the properties that again are brand new units. Those are eligible for purchasers earning up to 100% of area median income, and again, in some cases, 120% of area median income, depending on the property. The resale restricted homeownership units are eligible for those who earn up to 100% of area median income. And the Alexandria Neighborhood Stabilization Program units are eligible for those making up to 80% of area median income. Those are units that are for our harder to house first-time home buyers. So we decrease the required income requirements for that particular population. To be eligible for our program, you must be a first-time home buyer. And we follow the requirements and the outlines and guidelines of VHDA in terms of what a first-time home buyer. In our case, again, we require that the first-time home buyer not have had any ownership interest in a property for the last 3 years. They must also live or work in the corporate limits of Alexandria. We do understand that in Virginia, there's some properties that have an Alexandria address but are not within the corporate limits. And one of the easiest ways for us to help folks determine if they live in the corporate city of Alexandria or in Fairfax, Alexandria, is to determine your local school district. That can help you figure that out. If it's Fairfax County, then you're not in Alexandria. And also to look at where you pay your personal property taxes, because that can help you figure that out as well. The third requirement is that you have to have a gross annual income within our current income limits. And again, that can, depending on the property that you purchase, that can be up to 80% if you're looking at a neighborhood stabilization unit, or up to 120% of area median income if you're buying one of those brand new units that we are marketing for sale. The fourth requirement is that you have to participate in VHDA's first-time homebuyer training. That, again, as was shared earlier in our session, you can take that online, and you have to provide us with a copy of the certificate. And in our case, for our program, that certificate is good for 2 years. So if it's been more than 2 years since you've taken that class, you do have to retake it. And you also have to complete an individual financial counseling session with one of our partner agencies, just to make sure that you are ready to become a home buyer and your finances are up to par and you're able to handle the changes that may potentially come with your life during your home ownership journey. Other resources, we also are a participating partner in VHDA sponsoring partnerships and revitalization communities program, where we allow our home buyers to participate in that program and reduce their mortgage interest rate by 1%. For our program, in order for our home buyers to take advantage of that program, they do have to use one of our participating lenders in the program. Another resource that we have is for our employees. We provide a loan of either $5,000 to $10,000 for Alexandria employees to assist them in their homeownership purchase. That loan is paid, it's a deferred loan, and it's paid at the time that the employee separates from the city of Alexandria. So as long as the employee is working in Alexandria, they don't have to repay that loan to us. So for additional information on our programs and resources, the best way to get in contact with us is to give us a call or visit our webpage. For information on which properties we're advertising for sale, the best thing for you to do is to sign up for our e-news service. Whenever we have a property that's eligible for sale and that we're marketing, we send out an email to over 8,000 people to let them know that the property is available. And this saves you the time of having to go to our webpage and looking to see which properties are available. You can just wait to have an email sent to you. So sign up for e-news and select the affordable housing group, and you'll have our messages directly to you. And that's all I have. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Brandy. I don't see any questions for you. So at this time,
There was one question for Brandy.
Oh, okay.
Does the county always put all affordable set-aside units on sale when the owner finished the commitment period with the county?
Yeah, so in Alexandria, if you purchase a property using our down payment and closing cost assistance, or if you buy one of the properties that we are advertising for sale as part of our affordable set-aside program, you have to sell that to another first-time home buyer. Now, the caveat is you have up to 6 months to advertise that unit for sale, and we will help you. We will send an e-news, we'll send emails to our partners. We will do everything we can to help you find a qualified buyer. After 6 months, if you're not able to find a buyer that meets our income requirements, at that time, you can sell it to anyone on the market. We still will require you to provide repayment of the loan that you borrow from us. But if after 6 months, if you can't find a home buyer and we've helped you as much as we could, at that point, you can sell it to anyone on the open market.
Thank you, Brandy. We had a question for Regina. Regina, the question is regarding the MCC program. Is PMI waived for that program?
Thank you, Dana. The MCC does not determine whether one has mortgage insurance, also known as MI, on their loan. It's not related at all. It is your loan type and your down payment that dictate whether or not you have mortgage insurance. And so that's something that you would discuss with your lender and ask them, you know, hey, what would this loan look like if I didn't have mortgage insurance? And then what would it look like with it, and determine which works best for you.
Thank you, Regina.
My pleasure.
So, if there are, I don't see any other questions.
Sorry, there were two. There were two
Oh.
for Kyria.
Okay.
Thank you for talking about Arlington County, because I am an Arlington County employee. Do I have to take the VHDA class? What would be the next step?
Sure. So I know that Dana did send out a notice on the chat indicating that if you are an Arlington County employee, I'd be happy to sit down and talk to you about what next steps are related to Arlington County employees and options that we have for you. But essentially, to answer your question, yes, you will need to take the VHDA first-time homebuyer course. As previously stated, it is now offered online, so you can take the virtual course, and you will need to get a certificate of completion at the end of taking that course. But again, I'd be happy to talk to you about any other questions that you might have.
The second question is there a work or residency requirement to apply for MyPAP?
In terms of residency or working in Arlington County, no, that is not a requirement. Of course, there is a work requirement. You need to have income, but you do not have to live or work in Arlington in order to apply for MyPAP. There is a preference for individuals that live and work in Arlington, but it is not a requirement.
All right, and it looks like we got one more, and this is for Arlington and Alexandria. If I stay in the home for 30 years or the length of the mortgage, can I resell the house at market price?
In Arlington County, you would not. Our units are restricted in perpetuity, so you would need to resell that unit to a household that would meet the income requirements at that time. Typically, the income requirements would be 80% of the area median income for any period of time, whether that's 5 years from now or 30 years from now. So to answer your question, the restrictions do not, they're never lifted from the Arlington County ADUs.
For Alexandria, the resale price is discounted based on our equity share requirement. So for our equity share, we discount the resale price based on the percentage of the city's financial investment in the unit. So that discount allows another first-time home buyer who fits our income requirements to purchase that home. So at no point would you be able to walk away with 100% of the equity, but you are allowed to walk away with some of it.
Are there any other questions? Please feel free to type them in. Okay, it looks like there are no more questions. If anyone has any other information that they would like, they can look at the facts sheets when you go to the website. And also the rest of the schedule is on the Facebook page, as well as a virtual exhibit all full of people who can help you on your quest. And there's also an opportunity to get private financial counseling if you need it. And if you know somebody who couldn't join in today, you can go to the Facebook page, and the presentation will air again starting at 2 and 4 o'clock. Starting at 4 o'clock, excuse me. Thank you for coming, and we appreciate you guys coming to the Housing Expo today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.